Now, the OHM, which stands for Optimal Human Motion, OHM Run, is a new product that uses accommodating isokinetic resistance. It allows you to dictate the level of force based on speed. The force that you apply can be variable as it changes based on your body position. With this form of isokinetic resistance, the more force you put into it, the more resistance it's going to give back. And when you maximize efforts all the way throughout the range of motion with this kind of modality, you're recruiting more motor unit engrams at every stage and generating more force in the process. With weight training, your force production is decreasing at the end ranges of motion so you don't hyperextend joints. It's a safety mechanism, but that's not similar to sport in which you can accelerate through a full range of motion. And the end range of motion is the most important part of the lift. You want to be able to explode all the way through it. This approach is scientifically proven to enhance strength, power, and explosiveness because you're able to accelerate the bar through the entire range of motion. That's why people use bands and chains. With this type of accommodating isokinetic resistance, you have the ability to create greater co-contractions, which is great for enhancing joint stability. I believe this machine teaches athletes how to create optimal stability rather than maximal stability. And here's an example of how the OHM can impact our mobility. We did some test of some mobility overhead squat, lateral lunge, excuse me, and then a spider lunge, and then it's going to walk, and then you'll see the difference in the next videos after that. But the co-contraction of multiple muscles as they shorten and lengthen increases their girth. This stretches the fascia that wraps around it, which translates to greater force transmission. This concept is known as a hydraulic amplitude. It's almost like the like squeezing a sausage, right? With the casing around it, is if you squeeze the bottom of the sausage, that sausage meat's going to get push upward, and that increases the girth, and that's going to help increase a little bit more space, so our muscles in our fascia can slide and glide a little bit more effectively. What happens with the OHM is that there's an increased amount of time under tension or time under traction, where muscles are lengthening and contracting through a full range of motion. You're increasing the traction of the muscles and soft tissues around them in a way that essentially does the same thing fascia manipulation does by sticking an elbow in an area. But it's happening naturally through your body's range of motion, specifically going through gait, which allows you to get past the breaking point where your fascia tissue would normally not let you go. It's facilitating an easier glide. The OHM is somehow hacking the inherent plasticity of fascia tissue and its natural resistance to tension and traction. And we can do a variety of different movements on the OHM. Use a variety of different harnesses and equipment and implements, whether it be handles to really target an entire superficial backline, or a belt in this case where you're just retro walking. We can put handles on it. We can, and the speeds that we're moving at here are about half a mile an hour. The machine allows you to go all the way down to 0.1 miles an hour. It can get all the way up to 10 miles an hour. This is a great one to help open up the anterior front line, especially bicep, shoulder, wrists. Now we're starting to get to the little frontal plane motion, and we can really open up lateral lines and obliques. Plus, we can drive some really good internal rotation as she crosses over. Here's a little spin off a little PRI where we're trying to facilitate a little bit more left wall ab facilitation by only having the resistance come off that left side. And the beauty of it too is that you're not going to be able to move unless you create optimal stability, right? Because you're forced to move so slow, and in this case, I think it's about 1 mile an hour at the speed, that you've got to learn how to sequence multiple joints collectively in a whole body sequence so that you can generate force. And as they do this more and more frequently, you can see that she's getting more stable and she can start to generate more power. It's an amazing piece of technology. And here's an example of fascia and the power, the OHM and the power and how it impacts our fascia. The first repetition was at 83.1 watts. The second one goes up to 83.5. The third gets up to 86.5. And then the fourth rep gets up to 89 watts. And what's interesting is usually you don't see those kind of increases in power rep to rep interset because of interset fatigue that's going to start to happen. What's interesting about the machine is I think your power output goes up rep after rep after rep because you're learning how to sequence, you're learning how to recruit motor units, and you're facilitating better slide and glide of your fascia over those muscles so that you can increase the movement efficiency so that you can produce that much more power. An example of being able to use it like in a rehab situation with crossing over. On the left, we're going at half a mile an hour. progress up to 1 mile an hour, and on the right, we're going at 2.5 miles an hour. So you can start to feel more and more comfortable in a dry land situation before we get into a skating, sporting, chaotic type environment. So it helps build some confidence, helps build some movement quality, and it helps build some movement capacity all at the same time.